Huh? Hey, I'm tryna win. I'm tryna win in the 716 and I'm making it big. I wanna live. I think I'm ready to.
Yo, what's good, man? This is part two. Thank you so much, RJ Jackson.
You're welcome.
All right, all right. The courage giver,
Yes,
courage
sir.
giver, give a lot of people courage. So for those that don't actually know, you guys should go ahead and tune into our podcast, which I'll be putting in the description below. So the link will guide you straight to our podcast, so you can listen to that podcast every morning, every night. You know, it's just a way to kind of like stay in that affirmation zone. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so now let's go straight into part two and talk more about everything that you do. I mean, you're an author. Like I mentioned, you're an author, you're an international speaker, consultant, executive life coach, facilitator, workshop presenter, a radio personality, community leader, and a volunteer. And you mentioned that volunteering is one of your most favorite thing, because you know you're doing it with a purpose, and it brings just that sense of um, happiness, and it shows you. I mean, it shows you who you are in most cases. Okay, but yeah, so let's go straight into like just your experiences as an author. So let's talk more about that. When did you kind of like decide to say, you know what, I'm actually gonna start writing books?
That's a great question because I never decided that.
Then we decided.
Oh my gosh, I hate writing. Like, I was good at writing in school. I love poetry and writing. It was like probably the one thing that got me through school.
Okay.
But I never professed to be a writer. I would always tell people, I'm not a writer. I am a professional speaker. And then as I began to go through my career as a professional speaker, I discovered that you had to have a book.
Mm,
Like, oh, brother, here we go.
right.
So one day I was teaching at a school, and they asked me if I had a workbook. And I was like, I don't. And they were like, we need you to get a workbook. So I went home and I wrote a workbook for the kids, and the school purchased the workbook at the price that I set. And I was like, oh, it worked like this? Okay, let me
Okay.
go write some more.
Right.
I realized I was leaving money on the table when I didn't have a product, when I didn't have that book. And so people would always tell me, RJ, you're a great writer. You should write. And it's very interesting how sometimes, even with confidence, we don't see what we have inside of ourselves. It takes someone else to see it. And so people would just encourage me, write, RJ, write. And so I started writing. And then I started helping other people who didn't like to write their story. And we did anthologies together, and I created my own publishing company. So
Wow.
that's how I pretty much got off the ground.
So just creating your own publishing company as well. Who encouraged you to do that too? Like, was it people just seeing that in you, or was it something that you actually say, you know what, let me actually take this thing very serious now, because people have actually sold that greatness within me. So let me actually make them, see even much more greater than what they saw from the first.
Wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. So the truth of the matter is,
Okay.
I believe in coaching, coaches, and mentorship. So I believe every coach needs a coach, and everyone should have a mentor. And so since I believe that, that's how I live my life. My mentors encourage me. So I had mentors in my speaking career. I had mentors in my life. I used to have a board of directors, and those were 12 people that I personally selected. They were my elders, they were my aunties, they were people who knew me, who loved me, who would tell me what I didn't want to hear, but what I needed to hear.
Okay.
And I had 12 of them. And I would ask them, can you help me? What do you think I should do? Because I believe wisdom is important. And we don't have wisdom when we don't have the experience. So I turned to my mentors and my coaches in my life, and they guided me, and I listened.
Amazing. And you just have to be a listener, a good listener. You have to be a teachable person. Because, one thing I learned too is like, you might know so much, but like you say, you always need a mentor. You always need a coach, because with having those people around you, they kind of, I think it kind of helps you in certain things that you've actually never seen, because I mean, experience too. Experience plays a huge part. So that's amazing. So, and here you do actually have one of your books, Decisions Women Face and Make.
Yeah.
So is this one of your favorite book that, because this is the only book that you brought today, but is this one of your favorite books that you wrote and you wanted us to kind of like, take a look at it?
Well, it's one of my most recent books.
Okay.
And my favorite book is my book, A Repositioned Journey, I'm Still Standing, and it tells my story.
Okay.
This is one of the books that I recently did a project with two other young ladies. And this book in particular, I did after I was diagnosed with a brain injury. And I was about to quit and give up on writing. And one of my friends said, RJ, don't do that. Write the book, do the anthology,
Right.
and this is the book. And it's based on me not quitting, not giving up. It's based on making a decision and not overthinking it, because especially as women, we get stuck on overthinking. Like, what if it don't work? What if I can't do it? What if they don't like me? What if nobody talks to me? Well, what if they do like you? What if they love you? What if you look nice? What if it works? And so I wrote this book with these two beautiful women who were courageous enough to share their story of how it was to be stuck in overthinking, but to make a decision that they're not going to live there and they're not going to die there.
That's it. That's it. And shout out to you for actually making this book, because there's a lot of people. It's not just women, but also there are men that doubt themselves.
Absolutely.
What if I can't make this happen? What if my wife dislike me because I can't do this? What if what if my friends don't include me into the workout team because I'm weaker than them? What if this, So there's a lot of things that people really deal with, decisions that they make, basically, like you said, that can dictate how their life will be in the next whatever years and so on. So and also with this book itself, I know you kind of like highlighted women in there. So what are few things that you kind of spoke on to encourage the women, in terms of like the decision that they will face or make, in order to kind of like see the bigger picture?
That's a great question. So one thing I want people, like you said, in general to know, especially women, because that's my calling, is that no decision is a decision. So when you're not making a decision, when you're hemming and hawing, well, I'll decide later, you've made a decision and it's affecting you. And the other thing I want women to understand and to know is that you have everything you need inside of you to succeed. Stop waiting on people to support you. Stop waiting till you get more money. Stop waiting until this, that, or the other. Start with what you have in your hand and your heart. This is your winning season, but you gotta be in it to win it. Get started. Make the decision that what you have is good enough.
Amen. That's it. Make sure you make that decision. What you have is good enough. Make sure you understand that, because there's power within you.
Yes.
There's always going to be power within you.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And so I actually wanted to ask you, because, I mean, thank God, God kind of like held you in his hands, protected you, because I did actually went through some of your stuff. You actually survived a major car accident.
I did.
And if you want to just kind of speak about it just a little bit, because I know it's a traumatic event, what was going through your mind in that moment?
I didn't have anything going through my mind. I didn't even know what happened. To this day, I can't tell you what happened. Someone has to tell me the story of what happened. So I just remember one point during the accident, I was like, I don't know where we were. It was just a weird place where we were. And I was like asking one of my passengers, like, what happened? Like, where are we? And she was like, I don't know. I think we were in an accident. And then the next thing I remember is waking up to some man looking at me, yelling in my face, "What's your name? What's your name? Where are you? Who is the president?" And I was like, "I don't know, but could you please back up out my face?" Those are the only
He was
two
asking you who's the
things.
president. What?
Who is the president of the United States? I'm like, "I don't know, but can you back up out my face?" And I just remember him saying, "You were in an accident," and then yelling, "Who was in your car? Who was in the car with you?" Like demanding that I tell him, which is what happens when they understand that you've experienced some kind of injury, brain injury, that they got to bring you back, like help you remember what was,
Oh,
where
so
you
they
are,
do that.
what's happening. And I didn't know. I didn't know anything. Like, I don't know. I just know I need you to get up out my face. That's all I know.
Get out of my face.
Right,
And
get
then
out
you,
my
You
face.
was in a wheelchair for like 2 to 3 years.
I had to use a wheelchair for 2 to 3 years. I did physical.
4 years.
2, maybe more closer to 3.
Okay.
Might have been 4. That kind of memory stuff, like, don't have space in my head for it. But I know I did physical therapy
Wow.
3 times a week for 6 years.
Wow. That's
My doctor would not release me to drive because I didn't have motion in my legs to press the gas or make sure I can press the pedal to stop. So I could not drive again until I passed physical therapy, and it took me 6 years to do it.
6 years to do it. Wow. I mean, thankfully you're here and
here.
you're doing everything that like you chasing your purpose as usual. You know.
Living my life because it's golden.
Definitely.
And I'm grateful to be here.
Definitely. And also to just talk about the power of God, like in just that moment, like you just looked up and said, "You know what, God, thank you," because life is too short. Like you could just be gone in a second. So like with you just being a faithful woman and so on. So like, what did you say to God?
You know, Glory, you never know how to live until you've almost died. Then you really realize what this thing of life is all about. And the best thing I could say was thank you. But I didn't say that until I said, "Why did you spare my life?"
Right.
That was a question for me because I couldn't do the things that I love doing. I couldn't walk. I had to scoot down the stairs on my butt until they got me the wheelchair. I couldn't do the things I knew to do. And I remember one day, my daughter brought the mail, and in the mail there was a letter that said, "Thank you for volunteering." And when I read that letter, I lost it. And that was the first time after the accident that I literally lost it.
Wow.
Like, that's when I started going, well, why am I still here? But I realized this. I was still here because God wasn't through with me yet. And there was still an assignment for me to complete. And then I started saying, well, I understand the assignment.
Yes, that's it. That's it. And thank God, like, amen, you're here, going strong. I see you walking, strong, and continue doing that. Because life is too short.
Yes,
Life is
it
too
is.
short.
Yes, it is.
All right. So now let's jump into one thing that we wanted to talk about today as well. RJ's Day, RJ Jackson's Day here in Buffalo, New York. Let's talk about that thing because it's an amazing thing to hear about because it's not something that someone can just achieve in a blink of an eye. It's something that you just really have to work for. You have to be different from others in the way that you carry yourself, in the way that you present yourself to others, volunteering, caring for the community, and so on. So how did you receive that achievement?
Well, I have to give some of the credit to my older sister who I would always tell her, I want to come back to Buffalo. I want to give back. I want to speak to the women. I always had this big dream of coming back and serving and giving back and speaking. And I told her, and she set it up for me. And because she set it up, she gave me the opportunity to come back and to serve. I went back to my elementary school and shared with the young people there. I did an event for the women, and I did one more community event where I literally got to give back. And that's why I said volunteering is so crucial. And I know some people think, but you don't get paid. Yes, you do. More than money can ever give you, because it's not about making an income, it's about making an impact. And one of the councilmen at the time, I believe his name was Charlie Fisher, was the one who declared June 24th as RJ Jackson Day because of my serving, my giving back, my looking back to give back. I could have just did California, right? But this is where I grew up, and I wanted to come back. My high school had closed down. So many things were closing down. I wanted to come back and give life and hope and possibility. And because of Councilman Fisher, that's why I received the RJ Jackson Day for my giving back.
Wow. And shout out to you. And today is the day. You know, we're recording this on the day that's your day. So I feel honored. You know, like I feel honored because you were traveling and you made your time to even come here on a day that's yours, that a day that you should be actually walking around the city, celebrating, meeting people, and so on. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No, definitely. So, and one last thing that I want to ask you though, in terms of like just the purpose itself, what is your purpose now, from now, in order to kind of like, you know, give some to the community or just yourself, just going forward?
So I've always believed that my purpose was to remind people that they matter, and to introduce them to the King of Kings, and to let them know that they are loved and that they're good enough, that they really do have everything they need to succeed. Sometimes we are waiting on life to happen before we live life, right? And we're totally missing out on every opportunity. I want people to know that they have what they need, and they don't have to live where they're dying. I know I say that a lot, but I mean that. That's my purpose. You don't have to live where you're dying. You don't have to die where you're living. Go live life. Like, you know, I talk about courage. That's why I'm the courage giver. Go jump out that airplane. What you afraid of?
I saw you was actually in a parachute.
Yes.
Wow.
Go jump out that plane. Go do that skydiving. Go take that trip that you want to take. Go back to school. Do what your heart beats for, because that's living. And you only live on this earth once.
That's it. Make sure that every moment counts.
Every moment counts. And, you know, that reminds me, thank you for saying that, because that reminds me of a saying that says, life is not measured by the breaths, by the moments, by the breaths that you take. Life is not measured by the breaths that you take, but by the moments that take your breath away. And we can't have those moments if we're afraid to take a healthy risk.
That's it. So risk is healthy in most cases, and, you know, make sure it's a healthy risk, like you said.
Healthy risk.
Healthy risk.
And what I mean by healthy risk, don't risk your life on drugs and alcohol to solve your problems, or things that you feel will give you a temporary fix. That's not a healthy risk. But a healthy risk is taking that chance, going back to school if that's what you want to do, starting your business, doing your photography, whatever your heart beats for that's purposeful, go do it.
Go do it.
Stop allowing fear to rob you of your life.
That's it. And that's one thing that keeps a lot of people down. It's
Absolutely.
fear. It's that fear. I mean, just being the courage giver, how can someone eliminate that fear, though, within themselves?
They have to take the risk. You got to bet on you. Like, nobody's going to bet on you the way you bet on yourself. I'll just share a really quick story if we have time.
Oh, we have time.
Okay, so you mentioned you saw me with the parachute. I had always wanted to jump out of the plane, and everybody I would ask would go, no, Girl, you crazy. Please, you better get up out of here. Like, nobody wanted to do it. And so I volunteered for our local police department. We're sitting in the meeting, and I said, hey, boss lady, you want to jump out the plane with me? And she's like, yes. I was like, boss lady, don't play with me because I'm serious. And she's like, no, RJ, I will do it. Let's do it. Sign me up. And so I signed us up, and she would go, okay, we got 10 more days. We got 9 more days. We get there, and she kept going, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. And finally I said to her, where are you going? She said, oh, I'm going to the restroom because my stomach is so jacked up right now. I'm like, why? She said, I'm so scared. I'm like, girl, you go out there and you fight the community every day. You fight crime. What do you mean you're scared? You're the one that gave me the courage to, yes, let's do this. But had I gone on her fear, we would have never jumped out that airplane.
Never.
But I told her, okay, you're afraid? I'm not, because you have given me the courage to be here. So now I need you to go on my courage until you can get your feelings back together.
Yeah.
And we did that. And when it was time to jump, we were like, okay, who's going to go first? And we did paper, rock, scissors.
Okay.
So she got to go first. And at the end of the day, I was like, I don't know if that was a good thing or not, because she got to experience my dream before I did. I don't know if that was a good thing, because
Right.
I should have went first. She was scared.
You're the one that actually pushed her
Right.
to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But she had to have enough confidence and courage in herself to say yes. But then she had to rely on me to help build her up. And that's why I say we need each other to survive.
Yeah.
We cannot do this thing called life by ourselves.
That's it. That's it. And that's the most important thing. So as we come together, we actually elevate. We evolve in life. We become better. And we become a team. There's so much more I can say about just unity. You know,
Yes.
unity is powerful. Definitely.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, there we have it. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming here. You know, this was an amazing sit down, and I hope you guys, you know, learned a lot, and got to know this wonderful woman here that I'm sitting next to. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. And I just want to say to your audience, and first and foremost, thank you for sharing your audience with me. Thank you for sharing your audience with me and trusting me with your audience. And I just want to say to anyone who's watching or listening, you have everything you need in order to succeed. This wasn't about me. This was a reminder for you to go live your life. Pursue your purpose and choose to prosper. You got this, and I'm rooting for you.
Amen. Thank you so much, Ms. Arjun.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, this is Easy Pinchal Podcast. Yeah, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like, share, and comment below. And like I said, I'm going to put the link below so that we can check out her podcast. Thank you so much. And we out here. Let's go.